Hey YA nerds, Rue here with another review from Reading Rue. This week we're talking about Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. This book I am so excited to talk about. It actually comes out on March 6th, so this review is going to be a little early. I got the advanced reader copy from work when I worked at the bookstore, and I've kind of been sitting on this for the last couple of months, like 2 or 3 months. So I'm really excited that it's coming out. Officially it has 448 pages, although the copy that I got for some reason has 600 pages, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to be missing when I reread it, the official release. I guess I'll just have to find out on my own, who knows? But yeah, so we're going to talk about this book today. So I'm gonna read you guys the plot from the back of the book because it's easier. So here we go. They killed my mother. They took our magic. They tried to bury us. Now we rise. Zili Adebola remembers when the soil of Orisha hummed with magic. Burners ignited flames, tiders beckoned waves, and Zili's Reaper mother summoned forth souls. But everything changed the night the magic disappeared. Under the orders of the ruthless king, Magi were targeted and killed, leaving Zili without a mother and her people without hope. Now Zili has one chance to bring back magic and strike against the monarchy. With the help of a rogue princess, Zili must outwit and outrun the crown prince, who is hell-bent on eradicating magic for good. Danger lurks in Orisha, where snow lepinaires prowl and vengeful spirits wait in the waters. Yet the greatest danger may be Zili herself, as she struggles to control her powers and her growing feelings for an enemy. So like I said earlier, I got so unbelievably lucky getting this book. It was on complete accident. I happened to be receiving at the bookstore, and we get the advanced reader copies through there, and I happened to open up one of them, and this book was inside. And first of all, just look at the cover. This cover is beautiful. This cover is really interesting. It definitely like jumps out at you. And I mean, I always snag the advanced reader copies that look amazing. I thought at first that this was an adult sci-fi book, and I have many books I have to read. You guys might see them on the floor over there behind me. I have to get a better system of organizing, but I figured like the way it reads in the back, oh, this is probably like an adult book, blah blah blah. And I was kind of hoping that it was an LGBTQA book because of the way that they talk about how Zili falls for somebody, an enemy. It wasn't. I'm not complaining. The romance in this was really good actually, and it was a little predictable because I've read a ton of YA books, but it was also really wonderful, and it developed very naturally, and the way that the two characters end up at the end is really satisfying. This is so bad. The book comes out next week. I cannot wait for the second book. But I've seen a lot of other people say this about this book who've gotten ARCs, so we'll see what happens. You know, I started researching this book once I figured out it was a YA book, and you know, I read it in like 3 days a couple months ago, and now I'm talking about it. The only like problems I have with the book are like technical problems, but again, I have an unedited copy, so I cannot complain about them at all. And, you know, the only other weird thing is that my unedited copy is literally 600 pages. When you look on Goodreads, Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, anywhere where you're going to find information about the book, it says it's 448 pages. So, again, I don't know what 150 pages the editors took out. Maybe it's just about formatting, because you can see there's like a lot of room along the edges. Who knows? Again, I'm probably going to reread this anyway, so I can figure that out. Hold on. I like that this book played with a lot of really cool ideas and some tropes. It definitely subverted a lot of things. One of the coolest things, I think, is that it's really obvious that A lot of this book is based off of African culture. And there's not a single white person in this book. At least not that I can remember. And I think that's really awesome. It's very different than what we usually see with YA books, which is sad, and there should be more books that have diversity in them. And you know, I also heard they're already thinking about making this into a movie, which is fantastic, because there's literally 0 ways to whitewash this book. Literally 0. The main character, Zilly, is described as having very dark skin. She's on the cover. Very dark skin, very light hair. And the enemies of her people, the Magi, all the Magi have very dark skin with very light hair, and all of the royalty people have lighter skin and dark hair. So it kind of flips a lot of like the old racist tropes that we've seen in the past, and you get like this really rich, beautiful tapestry of people throughout the whole book. You know, and speaking of the characters, I adored every single one of them. This book's really interesting. It swaps perspectives between 3 different characters. One of them is Zilly herself. The other one is the princeling, and another one is his sister, the princess, who's the one who like betrays her family and ends up running away with Zilly. And you know, they all go through so much. It's crazy, especially when you remember they're supposed to be teenagers, and it's believable, even though it's like a magical world. I could relate to all of them, even like the evil royal family. Even though I'm like hella white, everybody was really awesome, relatable, empathetic, all that jazz. And the women in this book, the women were so badass. I loved every single one of them. They were just so great. And I think my only complaint is that it's a very older teen book. There's a lot at stake for a lot of the characters. There's definitely a couple of character deaths in it. There's a lot of mention of like unsavory things, like rape and murder. So that is like the only downside to the book, and it's not even a downside. It just adds more depth to the book. There's actually like, it kind of works, I hate to say it, kind of works like Game of Thrones, where you know a character is gonna die, and therefore the stakes are that much higher. This is the same. Once one of the characters dies, and I think one of the first people who dies is like a 12-year-old girl. Once that character dies, everyone else is like, their lives are all still on the table, and you realize that this actually means something in this story. It's not just like, oh, somebody died, but they came back to life. No, they, like, you could die in the story. All of them could die in the story, and the characters go through so much. It was really good. It was a roller coaster. So I adored it. Every part of it. Kudos. Good job. So for the tropes, we have a lot of tropes for this one. Again, this is a list that I've curated myself with help from other librarians, as well as like stuff I found online and just from my own experience reading YA books. If you don't know what any of these things mean, I'm going to put all the definitions down in the description below, and you'll see them. This is not new, people. If you've seen this before, I do this every week. Every other week. So for tropes, we have The Chosen One, Wrecking Ball endings, strong/smart female protagonists, broken family units, youths in danger, love at first sight, trilogy, Romeo and Juliet, switching point of view, and straight as an arrow. For my rating, I would give this book a 10 out of 10 because I would devour it again. Again, I'm probably going to read the official released book once it comes into my library because I do want to see like what the differences are going to be. I don't think there's going to be many, so that's good. But I'm still interested. I'm still interested in seeing the story. I'm so excited about the PR that's been around this book. I'm so excited that the author is like involved in Twitter and she's been like shouting from the rooftops. So I'm excited. It's gonna be good. Everyone should read it. It's great. My favorite part, I'm actually not gonna read it. I'm trying to shorten these videos, so I'm sorry. But my favorite part, I'll give you like the basic about it. In this version, it's on page 192. It's in chapter 18, again, of this version, and it's from Zilly's point of view. Basically, they get to these ruins, and she discovers that she has to step into this big role and become this different person. And it's just like the buildup of that part where she sees there's like a bathtub that she has to get into, fully clothed. And she, at first, like, she sees the tub and she even sees, you know, oh yeah, help me. I can't even sell a fish without causing the destruction of my entire village. How am I supposed to be the Magi's only hope? And I think it's things like that that make me love Zilly, that she has this obligation, and she goes through with this magical procedure that makes her like really important, and she's able to awaken other Magi. That's like the whole point of this with her. And the really cool thing about this whole part is that there's this priest called Lacan, and he's the one who performs the magic. And the way that they talk about it, she like starts seeing things. She sees the gods. And another really cool part about all of this whole thing, is that the characters are speaking, I think it's Igbo. I could be wrong, please correct me if I am. But they start speaking this really beautiful language, and that's how they cast their spells. So in this part, you get to see a lot of the spells come out. Really cool part. Again, I'm not going to read it. I'm trying to cut these short. For age range, unfortunately, I have to say 17 and up. I think a younger reader could read it. They would just have to be like aware of like social issues that go on in this world. So if you as a parent, I see my cat back there. If you as a parent want to recommend this to your child, make sure you have conversations with them. Again, I know I always say this. There is a lot of like rape mentions. There's a lot of violence, a lot of death, a lot of blood. And you know, there's some sexual situations. I think two of the characters have a crazy makeout session, which is not the end of the world. That's not so crazy, but again, you might want to have a conversation with like a reader who's 15 or 16 and just see if they're like okay with it. That being said, anyone who's 17 or older, I think adults would really love this book. Anyone who's in their mid-20s and loves reading YA novels like I do would really love this book. So it's definitely something to pick up. It's gonna be like the next big book, I feel like. It's gonna be a trilogy. I think she's already announced she's come up with a second and third book. Again, there's already like movie rights discussions going on. I feel like we're looking at almost like the next Harry Potter or like the next Hunger Games in terms of like YA franchise that turns to a movie. It's gonna be phenomenal. Get your hands on it. It's gonna be so good. Again, it comes out March 6th. And if you like what you see here, make sure you subscribe. We update every other Thursday. And I guess that's about it for me. Again, this is Children of Blood and Bone. Go pick it up. Read it. It's so good. Read it, read it, read it. And peace out, YA nerds.